This is the Padua Podcast Network.
Running a Fever, episode 365.
Shattering the Yo-Yo.
Smoothies and tomato sauce. Previously on Running a Fever.
But today is the 1 year anniversary of recording the first podcast, the first episode of Running a Fever. 1 year ago today, I've already had my first Blue Zone meal. Had a Blue Zone smoothie. What did that have in it? Frozen berries, of course, almond milk. Vanilla. A little bit of honey. What else was in there? Cinnamon. And salt. Would have been delicious, but I put too much salt in there. And I don't need any salt necessarily, so. Tonight, the plan is to have some sort of pasta or vegetable that looks like pasta. Well, isn't that what spaghetti squash is? So they're vegetables that look like pasta, basically. Okay. With Sardinian tomato sauce. Had to get a special type of tomato for this. But when you're making tomato sauce, the tomato is pretty important. So it's made with skinned, seeded, peeled Italian plum tomatoes. I found some at Whole Foods that I think fit the requirements. And then you have some pretty common stuff, although something unusual is it uses a carrot and celery, not as actual ingredients, but you put them in the mix and while you're simmering it, and then you take it out later. So you don't actually eat them, they just are used to flavor somehow. Anyway, we're gonna try that, and I like that because I'll make a lot of it and get to freeze some of it, and so it saves time in the long run. Maybe our last day of this type, although I'm sure there are people who come out hiking in the wintertime. I don't even know if the park is open.
It is.
All winter it is. So I'm sure there are people who just keep hiking throughout the winter, and that's fine with me as long as it's not icy or anything like that. Running a Fever official limited edition, rare, exclusive to dedicated, devoted Running a Fever listeners. And in fact, if you stop listening and being a devoted listener, I make them turn in the t-shirt, because we can't just have that out there for anybody to wear. So we're coming to the scenic overlook. It's pretty awesome.
Welcome to Running a Fever. My name is Michael Davis, and this is a podcast about fitness, diet, and medicine. My goal is to live a long, healthy, happy, active life right up to the very end. And if that's your goal, then you're in the right place. We'll get there together. Episode 108 was recorded at Devil's Den State Park, which I've been to many times. I was undoubtedly on the Yellow Rock Trail. I've never been on another trail there, which makes me think maybe I should try some of the other ones. But I love the view from the top, which you can see in the pictures from the past episodes. It's interesting to realize that this was the first anniversary of the first show. There were so many milestones happening at that time. After episode 100, the achievement of the goal of 2 trips around Lake Fayetteville, and now this anniversary. We've now been going for almost 7 years, and there is no sign of stopping. The bulk of this episode is from the diet department, and I'm seriously thinking of revisiting these recipes. To make the Sardinian tomato sauce, I remember having to buy a kind of blender that you stick in the sauce and run. It mixes up the tomatoes and kind of breaks them down. I haven't used it for anything else, and I'm pretty sure I still got it. In the episode, I hadn't tasted it yet, but I can tell you it was very tasty. In Sardinia, they always have some of this sauce around, and they use it for a number of different recipes. But I like to use it for spaghetti. And the vegetable spaghetti I mentioned is just as good as spaghetti made with flour. And of course, who doesn't love a good frozen fruit smoothie? I'm no stranger to winter hiking. My last trip to Mount Magazine was in March, but technically it was still winter. And being at Arkansas's highest point, it is probably also the coldest place in the state. I like most things in cool weather better than in hot weather, though I don't think I've been to Devil's Den in the winter. It's only an hour's drive away from my house, so I should definitely go there more often. As always, it's good to be reminded of the healthy lifestyle I've lived in the past, still possible today, and get some motivation to move forward towards a long, healthy life. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Remember, if you have the fever, keep it burning, and if you don't, catch the fever. And I'll talk to you next time on Running a Fever.